All right, what's going on there, folks? Welcome back here to another update on this wonderful Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. It's about 12:32 p.m. here, California time. Taking a look here at the latest live view of Iceland. Got Grindavik here in the background. There's the lava field out here. A couple glowing spots indicating still some warm areas out here, but no eruptive activity here since yesterday, which is a good sign. The latest information statement here from the Icelandic Met Office. This is their meteorological office here that also does a bunch of volcano information here to the public. Shows that no volcanic activity is visible. Fissures continue to emerge within Grindavik, though. Ground cracks, that is. There's currently no visible activity within the eruptive fissures, with the most recent lava observed from the northern edge yesterday. We're still seeing some earthquake activity, and as these guys point out, it's still a little bit premature to declare that the eruption is over. GPS sensors continue to detect ground deformation in and around Grindavik, illustrating that the magma conduit beneath Grindavik is still causing expansion in the area. So I don't think we're over yet completely with this eruption. Far as the GPS measurements here, make sure I got the most recent imagery. Here on the graph, still shows here in the Svartsengi area, increased inflation here. Look at that. Only a little small dip in the amount of, a deflation event there during the eruption, but we're continuing to go back up. So that's not a good sign in terms of the magma potential below and the accumulation of that, indicating the swelling here or inflation in the region. So we'll continue to watch that, report back on anything that may change. Here's the latest article here from the RUV.Iceland site, news agency. Basically, it's the same thing, stating that the activity is over for now. No eruption. There's a site or a little image, aerial view of a couple houses there that unfortunately did get impacted by that lava flow. I'm not for sure how many exactly, but I believe there was a couple there in that region. They are checking out the hot water situation out there. It looks like residents have turned in their keys so that the condition of their heating systems can be checked. So it looks like maybe they're going to start letting some people back in. Not 100% certain though. Hot water has been reintroduced in the western part of the town, but solutions are still being sought so that the hot water can flow through the distribution center in the eastern part. So yeah, it looks like maybe they might be possibly thinking about it. Looks like electricity has also been delivered to the distribution center system. So basically, that's what we're seeing there in the background. The lights here of the town off in the back here to the right. So looks like things are they're trying to keep things going, right? Trying to keep everything in line, so to speak, here for the residents of Grindavik. Again, it's looking at this GPS system here. The inflation data tells me that it's not over. This is the Svartsengi area. There's been other areas showing some slight decline in the inflation, but also there's several other stations out here that still continue to show inflation in the area. Grindavik right here. This is their which run is that? 8-hour run, it looks like. And the inflation here still going up and up and up. In fact, it's going up higher. So obviously, we know the magma continues to stir up underneath this area. Let's see if there's anything else worth mentioning in this region. It doesn't look like the hazard map has changed yet. This was put out from yesterday. The hazard map remains the same, with Grindavik in this area northward, zone 3 and 4 being the most potential active regions in terms of new fissure activity and potential eruptions within those fissures. So we'll continue to watch that and report back on any changes there that takes place. But we'll continue. Like I said, all we can do right now is watch it. Earthquake activity. Let me go over here and check this out real quick, see what we got for earthquake movement. In the last 12 hours, about 30 earthquakes throughout the entire region of Iceland. Now, still a little bit of activity stirring up here, but not so much across the area, Grindavik northward here to about the Hagafell region. So continue to keep an eye on it. I think if anything were to kick up here in the coming days, once again, we'll see increased earthquake activity. The key to watch is out here, I believe, across these rift zones. It seems as though, and compared to last time as well, we've seen a noticeable increase in earthquake activity across the rift zone plate boundary south here, and that seemed to had amplified the magma accumulation up here across this region of Iceland. Right now, there's a little bit of activity offshore. We'll have to watch that and see if it kicks back up. But it seems like we always get some type of larger earthquake activity out here, and then things really kick up in this region around Grindavik. And then shortly thereafter, the earthquake swarming occurs. We see the fissure activity with the eruptive movement within those fissures. So, all right. Let's move on, see what we got here for this Tuesday. I got some rain coming in here in Northern California. Not a whole lot, a little bit of rain, but got some more this weekend, it looks like, as well. 4.4 out in Russia, here along the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench. It's a ways away from Russia, but it is along the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench here at about 61 kilometers deep. We did see some further movement here as well, up north into the Kuril Islands. Look at that earthquake, 245 kilometers deep. So getting deeper activity with a little bit of shallower adjustment up along this plate boundary over the past week or so. We have seen mostly deep activity here in this region. A lot of these quakes down there, 300 kilometers deep. There was a shallow one right here, but we had one up north, about 35 kilometers deep, a deeper one up way up north here, 109 kilometers deep. So a lot of deeper movement with very minimal surface adjustment here across the Kuril-Kamchatka. And I think I hate to say it, but I think we're primed here for a big one as far as a big earthquake. It seems to be wanting to take place here soon, I feel. Because we haven't, if you think about the last couple of years or so, we haven't really seen any large-scale adjustment around this area. Japan Trench, yes, that was back in 2011, the big earthquake. But up here across the Kuril-Kamchatka, we've seen a couple 6s, some 5s, and some of these deeper quakes. But this area is very capable of seeing some larger movement, and it has not happened yet. So I feel that it's coming up here soon. Just a matter of time, I suppose. See what else we got here across the area. The Philippines, well south here. It looks like a 5.1 from earlier this morning, a couple hours or so ago. Really haven't noticed too much activity further down south here across New Zealand. Looks like we did have a 5-pointer into the Kermadec Trench, fairly deep there. And some further deep activity into the the Tonga Trench here. Crazy. That's actually a really deep one. Let's see how deep that earthquake is here. Oh man, almost 600 kilometers deep. Goodness. 581 kilometers for that 5.0, striking about 1 o'clock this morning. So we should see things amplify further across this area. Deeper movement does add the continual strain out here across the plate boundaries. Keep an eye on that. Up north into the Eruption Trench, got a 4.0 as well within that zone. USGS reporting that as well, about 69 kilometers deep here. The thing about these deep earthquakes is that they always tend to add strain up at the surface levels in these subduction zones. So a couple of these areas we may want to watch. California-wise, let's see what we got going on here. A little bit of movement in the last couple hours or so. Get a little bit of swarming here across this interchange of Well, you got the plate boundary, the San Andreas Fault, and a couple other fault systems here on the North American side of the plate boundary showing some activity in a little cluster zone. Looks like we did see a 3.4 earlier this morning. Today, about 11 kilometers deep here. It's hard to say if that's... It looks pretty close here on the San Andreas Fault near the Santa Cruz Mountains section. And a little bit of swarming outside of that zone as well. So looks like movement across the west coast is starting to pick up out here. Down south, really not a whole lot above 2.5. It looks like last night a 2.5 coming in near the Barstow area. Well away from the plate boundary, but aside from that, general microquake activity out here in Southern California today. Not a whole lot in the Pacific Northwest. A little bit of smaller movement here across Yellowstone. Let me double check and see what we have here across the area of Yellowstone. By the way, live stream is back up and running. Went down like an hour or so ago. Not for sure what happened, but it did. Someone pulled the plug on me. A small amount of earthquake activity. I can see it here around Purple Mountain as well. A couple small, very small earthquakes. And but that's about it. There's really not a whole lot going on here across the rest of Yellowstone National Park. The rest of the country, well, one little earthquake up around the Madison, Ohio area, 2.0. That's from earlier this morning as well. Not a whole lot across the New Madrid seismic zone or the rest of the states there. Let's see what else we got. Some movement out into the Mediterranean, 5.0 in Greece. That was late last night, it looks like. Aside from that, the Atlantic Ocean, quiet. But it's during these quiet times we've definitely got to, maybe prepare a little bit more. They're doing a really good job of keeping that, well, they did a pretty good job of keeping that original magma flow or lava flow there in the first fissure that opened up. Keeping it somewhat diverted away from town. Unfortunately, we had a new fissure open up there just outside the houses there, northern part of Grindavik, and that's what got into town. Don't know exactly where these fissures are going to open up at. They could open up just out of the blue. Very dangerous situation out there, but I don't think we're out of the woods yet in terms of future eruptive fissures here. And that's due because of this. The elevated inflation out there continuing to go up and up and up with very little deflation. This is a Grindavik run right here. All right, what else we got in the air? In space weather, let's see what we got here. Got anything major to chat about? From the solarham.net site, looks like we're flatlined once again here. Over the past couple days, we've just barely been hovering around the sea flare category. Goodness. I don't know. I've been kind of feeling underneath the weather lately here. Not for sure what's going on, but got to stock up on some vitamin C so I can knock this down. Far as the flaring activity goes, as you can see it right there, very minimal. The sunspots are actually fairly large if you look at the visible disk here. These would be easy to spot in a solar telescope. Got to have the correct type of solar lens to view this, otherwise you damage your equipment and your eyes. But that's some awesome sunspots. Unfortunately, they are not complex enough here and to create some flaring or to create anything other than small sea flares. The majority of these sunspots have decayed and somewhat disappeared overnight. We're left with obviously a whole bunch of sunspots, but not a whole lot of threat for flaring. Right now, it shows 99% chance for a C flare, M flare at 30, X flare around 5% chance or so. But that's a generous reading there for what we have up on that chart. All right, nothing else going on here in the solar department in terms of aurora potential, fairly minimal. Nothing in the forecast there, as you can see. Weather outlook here today. Storm Prediction Center calls for Are we still live? I hope we're live. Looks like we are. Every time this hangs up here, it's not a good sign. That was scary. All right. Oh, goodness. You never know. I mean, I've been having these things happen to me since I've been streaming a couple years ago. As far as pulling the plug, they always find a way. I don't know who it is exactly, if it's an individual or maybe an agency or who knows what, but they always find a way to prevent the stream from running. On my old computer, they would just reset it literally in the middle of the night. And I checked everything. I made sure the computer would not reset automatically without me allowing it to do that in case of a critical error or a some other type of event that may force the computer to reset. But on my old computer, it would, about 3 o'clock in the morning, they would reset it, thinking it's funny. And I still have these issues around 3 o'clock in the morning for some reason, where the plug gets pulled. This last time, they I don't want to say exactly what they just did because, well, I'm sure they know what they did, but somehow they prevented my computer from having like a internet connection. My internet was perfectly fine on all other devices, but this specific computer I stream on, they did something with it. I literally had to restart the whole computer to get it going. So I'm still working with that. I'm still having the issues here on my end, and I always get them back up. Always tend to get them back up. It may be an hour or two later, but I am not going down without a fight. Marginal risk here for some severe weather across Florida, it looks like. I think that's due to a little 2% zone out there of tornado probability. Maybe some wind and hail as well, but not a huge threat. Just, that mentioning here of that tornado and wind possibility. So just stay weather aware if you're out there in Florida today. There's a system bringing with it, that severe weather threat. West Coast, California getting in on some rain, and Pacific Northwest is getting hammered once again up there. Next storm system of decent size, it's kind of backed off a little bit, comes in on Friday night into Saturday. The weekend looks quite wet out here across the West Coast, even down into Southern California, so that's good news. And this is basically a series of storms that are coming in with some warmer air, so these are going to be high snow levels across the mountains of California. And then after that, looks like the south over here is getting a decent shot of some warmer air, bringing with it lots of rainfall. So we'll have to pay attention to that as we get closer to that date. This is getting close to 10 days out, so I don't want to say this is what's going to happen because these weather models do change quite often. But far as these series of storms coming up through the weekend, that's probably going to be accurate. Definitely keep an eye on it. Total accumulated precipitation out here, as you can see across the California area, maybe getting up there around 2.5 to 4 inches or so across California. Higher amounts across, the typical zones that see that rainfall, that higher rainfall amount. That includes the Coast Range and the mountains. But yeah, at least we got some rain coming in, and I am definitely thankful for that. That is for sure. All right, seismograph stations here look calm, clear. Got those fired back up. If you guys are wondering which stations these are, the name is right here, like Barrett. It's in Southern California, Philippines. Petrolia, California is just south of Eureka in Northern California. There's a station in Chile. Hot Caves, Hawaii. Very close to the Hawaii area. Speaking of that, well, obviously it's it's there at Hawaii, so it's not very close. It is there, but that just brought to my mind here that we needed to check the activity, see what's going on there across the Kilauea volcano. It's been of interest here recently. The latest update put out shows that the Kilauea volcano is currently not erupting, and there has been very low seismic activity across the area. Tilt meter. Let's see what's going on here with our tilt across the area. UWE. Looks like we're going back up here. Kind of mentioned that last night. Let's go over to the 30-day. Yeah, kind of leveling off here a little bit, but looks like we're starting to go back up. And if this has followed trends, it's been following a trend one after another. One inflation event followed by a short period of deflation, and then followed back up by a higher level of inflation event. And it does the same cycle. So I expect this to possibly go up above the previous level right here. If you could draw that out here in your mind's eye, you would see that. And it just follows the same trend here. It's been doing that past couple months here since the last eruption there at the summit region in September of last year. But this level right here, and this level right here even is still the highest level of inflation since the 2018 eruption. So that says something itself, right? All right, what else do we got here? Let me see here. Just looking at this real quick. What is going on here? Why do I see my Earthquake 3D program off view? Let's see here. It should be... Oh, looks like we were off a little bit there. Not for sure what's going on with this. I'll have to adjust it. But either way, live stream is up and running. And yeah, I don't know. It seems like things get messed with here without me even doing anything. It's crazy. Crazy stuff that someone could have access to your computer. And I have a lot of virus protection and everything all locked down, but somehow, some way, people are still able to mess with some stuff here. All right, folks, I'm out of here. Have yourself a good day. I'll get this video uploaded on the channel, and of course, live stream is up and running. The bells are on the Earthquake 3D program. We'll catch you guys back here a little bit later on this evening. Take care, folks.